We're on.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our GK Wednesdays. I'm so very happy to see this super attendance today. So as you well know that every week we take a different country and we speak about something important in that country. We speak about the important people who we know from that country. And most of the people we speak about are people who are not there with us anymore. They are historical figures, right? They are people from history from that country. So do any of you all remember the names of any of those people? Like for instance, when we spoke about the USA, we spoke about two very, very important historical figures. Can anybody remember the names of any of these? Or tell me any of the people we spoke about when we spoke about the USA? Please unmute and answer.
Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth was from which country? Queen Elizabeth?
London.
England.
From UK.
UK. Thank you, Ayush. And she is still alive. So she's not a historical figure. Somebody who isn't there anymore. And somebody told me from India, Jayaprakash typed Mahatma Gandhi. Excellent. He is a historical figure. Perfect example of what I'm trying
We
to say.
also talk about Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you. Abraham Lincoln is a perfect historical figure of the US. Well done, Ayush. Can you think of somebody else also from our talk on the US? George Washington. Thank you, Poonam Yadav. George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. And as Jayaprakash said, Mahatma Gandhi from India. Thank you so much. This is the exact example that I'm looking for. That these are historical figures, people in the past. They are not alive anymore, right? People from history. But today, we are going to start a new series, which we are going to do once in a way, maybe once a month. We are going to talk about a person who lives today, who is important. All right? Why is he or she important? Sometimes we read about them in the newspapers, we watch them on the news, we hear about them, and many of the things that they do affect us in our lives. All right? In a small way, in a big way, perhaps they make us think of something, perhaps they do something which affects our lives. So it's nice to know about these people. Now, people who are not historical figures, but who are alive today with us are called our contemporaries. Contemporaries. Jisha, may I request you to type it in the chat box, please? Contemporaries, our contemporaries. That means they may be older than us, they may be younger than us, but they are living at the same time as we are living. Durgeshwari, Kisha has typed for you the correct spelling if you'd like to. Thank you. I really love when you people write down, you know, it reinforces. You hear it, you write it, you see it. All three senses are activated and you're very likely to remember it after that. Well done. Contemporaries. So today we're going to talk about one of our contemporaries. The man is Indian and I'm going to tell you a story about him. So,
Ma'am, may I request you to pull your camera a little lower? It's just gonna. Thank you.
is this good?
Yes,
Is this
it's
good?
great.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
So, in 1946, now that's 1 year before India got independence, right? In 1946, a boy was born to a school teacher in the Shilgata town, Karnataka, a very small town in Karnataka. At that time, it was not even called Karnataka because it was before independence, pre-independence. It was called the Kingdom of Mysore. You know, there were many small kingdoms in India. It was called the Kingdom of Mysore in 1946. And this boy was one of 9 brothers and sisters. His father was a simple school teacher who earned a very moderate salary. So this was not a rich family. This was not an affluent family. This was a very middle class to poor family, husband, wife, and 9 children. All right. So this boy, can we have the first slide, please, Keisha, whenever you're ready? Okay. So the whole family just lived off this salary of the school teacher father. So you can understand that this boy had a very humble childhood and a humble beginning. This boy finished his schooling and he must have worked very, very hard and undoubtedly must have been smart. He went to IIT in Mysore, IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. Everybody who's doing science knows it very well. And anybody who's doing engineering, that is the ultimate. IITs are the ultimate place to study, right? So there's an IIT in Mysore, and that's where he went to study for his undergraduate engineering. And then he did a master's degree in electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur. Can I have the slide, please? IIT Kanpur. So he did a bachelor's and he did a master's in electrical engineering. Of course, this is years and years ago. Okay. His first job was at IIM Ahmedabad as a chief systems programmer for computer systems, chief systems programmer. This is all just his background. It's not very important, but I just want to tell you the beginnings where this boy actually came from and what he did. So he was working at IIM Ahmedabad, which is the Indian Institute of Management, which is the #1 institute of management in India, always has been the #1. But this boy was not satisfied. He was not satisfied to work for somebody else. He had very big ideas of what he wanted to achieve in his life. And so he wanted to start his own business. All right. He wanted to start his own business. And so he left this IIM Ahmedabad and started his own small company called Softronics. Now, please understand this boy had very little money and still it was just his courage that, no, I want my own business, and he began. Now, sadly for him, the business failed. After 1.5 years of trying to make the business work, the business failed. And this boy had put all his money in it, all his work in it, all his ideas in it, and he failed. He was still a very young man. And so he was, of course, very, very saddened by that failure. All right. You can imagine his condition at that time. Very, very sad. And it was one person who stood by him and encouraged him to go on. And that was his wife, Sudha. She told him that, no, go and take another job and again think of how you're going to do this again. In the meanwhile, take another job, get more experience, learn how to run a business, learn more. Maybe we started too early. Learn again, do it again. So he went and got another job in a company called Patni Computers. And while he was working there, he met other people who were also in his state, young men with big ideas, a lot of courage, who wanted to do something new. And so it was with 6 of his friends that this young man started his own company once again. So after having failed miserably, lost everything, he took up his courage with his 6 friends and he started once again. In 1981, he started his own company. Again, with his friends, he found the courage. He had the courage. He had the ideas, but he didn't have any money. Remember, he's just the son of a middle-class school teacher. He's already failed and lost money. From where is he going to get the money? And again, it was his wife who stepped up with her little savings of 10,000 rupees and gave that 10,000 rupees to him. In 1981, guys, 10,000 meant something, but it was still a very, very small amount of money to start a company, right? So again, his wife came to his rescue and he started a company. Can I have the next slide, please? And I wonder if now you can guess the name of this man, right? Anybody read the slide out to me? What's his name? Narayan Murthy, right? His name is Narayan Murthy. Have any of you all heard of him? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a say yes or no. Have you heard of Mr. Narayan Murthy? Thank you. I've already got 1, 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs ups. Yes, Mr. Narayan Murthy. So, what's so important about him? Do you know that today, this man, the son of a humble school teacher, is today called the father of the Indian IT sector. The father of the Indian IT sector. That's how much respect people give him. He is amongst India's 100 richest people, amongst 100 richest people, and his family wealth is over 2.4 billion rupees. You remember billions. 2.4 billion. Over 2.4 billion is his wealth. Remember, he did not even have 10,000 rupees to start his own company. He borrowed that from his wife. He is one of India's 100 rich people. In fact, to be precise, he's number 59. This man is on the board of many, many important companies in India, banks like ICICI and HSBC. He's on the board of NDTV, which I'm sure all of you all have heard of. He's also on the board of many huge charities, like the United Nations Foundation, like the Ford Foundation, which is a huge American charity. And he's on the board of his own personal charity, which we will talk about later. Still, this man leads a very simple life. And at the age of 74, still works hard. May I have the next slide, please? And here I want you to guess the name of, and here we have him. He is getting an award. Does anybody know this lady in the picture? Anybody recognize her? She's one of...
Madam Pratibha Patel.
Thank you, Pratibha Patil, one of the presidents of India. He is getting the Padma Vibhushan. Padma Vibhushan, which is one of the highest awards in India because of his contribution to Indian industry, because of what he has contributed to our country and to our economy. Next slide, please. And the next slide is showing you at a glance all these awards and honors which have been given to Mr. Narayan Murthy. Padma Shri. He has got the Commander of the Order of the British Empire from the Queen in 2007. He has got a huge honor from France in 2008. He has got American awards. So this is just a quick look at the number of awards this person has got. So you can see that he's a highly honored person. He's not only a very rich person, but he's a highly honored and respected person. And honor and respect doesn't come with money. It comes with what you do and how you conduct yourself in life. Look at the second one on this, please. Narayana Murthy was named Philanthropist of the Year. Who is a philanthropist? A philanthropist is a person who does huge charity, who gives of himself and of his wealth for the betterment of society. Thank you, teacher. We'll take the next slide. And so I want to ask you, can you guess the name of his company? Can you guess the name of the company which Mr. Narayan Murthy set up in 1981? Anyone?
Is it Infosys?
It's Infosys, and here it is behind him. Well done. Thank you, Jai Prakash. Thank you, whoever else answered me. Sorry, I can't see everybody on my screen. The company is Infosys. The company is Infosys, and Mr. Murthy was the CEO of Infosys when it began, and then the chairman of Infosys for many, many years, till he stepped down, and today he is the chairman emeritus. Chairman emeritus means after you have been chairman, you retire because of your age, but because you have contributed so much to the country, to the company, and achieved so much for the company, you are named chairman emeritus. That means chairman for your whole life till you die. You don't actually run the company, but you are consulted for all the big decisions that the company takes, right? So Mr. Narayan Murthy today is Chairman Emeritus of Infosys. So when they started Infosys, what did Mr. Murthy do that made the company so great? What was this great idea he had that he wanted to keep on trying? He had a great idea, and that's what we're going to explain. The next slide, please, Keisha. Mr. Murthy, 3 words: articulated, designed, and implemented a new method for software programming. To articulate, he had the idea. It was his idea. When you have an idea or a concept which you put into words, you explain. That means you articulate. Now, maybe I have a great idea, but staying with me is of no use. I have to be able to tell that idea to others, to explain that idea to others. So this is what he did. He articulated, number 1. 2, he designed. You have a great idea, you tell it to others, but then you need to make a design of how is this idea going to work. I think of bridging the gap. I tell others about it, but then I have to, in my mind, make a design or a plan of how I'm going to do it. And the third thing, implement it. Bring that idea and that plan to life. Put it into use. If I have an idea, if I make a plan for that idea, great. But then I have to find how I'm going to use that idea, how I'm actually going to make it work. So Mr. Narayan Murthy articulated, designed, and implemented a framework for project management and multi-location management systems. Don't get worried, I'm going to explain everything. He got an idea for project management and multi-location management teams. Now we know in our modern world, take any big company in the modern world, all right? They have offices all over the world, correct? They have projects all over the world. How are they going to link up their information, their way they are working, their finances, their sales, their marketing strategies? All those offices all over the world have to speak to each other, have to know what the other person is doing, right? So therefore, Mr. Murthy conceptualized a system. He articulated, designed, and implemented a system by which multi-location, people in different locations could manage, could work together to manage huge global businesses. This is what he did. Next slide, please. And to do this, you need software programs. And for those who don't know, what is the difference between hardware and software? In any computer, the physical parts of the computer, the machine, your screen, your keyboard, before we used to have a tower. Those are the physical parts of your computer, your hard drive. That is your hardware. And software are the programs, that information that you feed into the computer, that you put into the computer to make your computer do a certain job. After all, remember, the computer doesn't have a brain. All right. Yes, material like things, Jai Prakash, are hardware. Okay. Software is what you put in the computer. The computer doesn't have a brain. Human beings have a brain. So they have to put in the information onto a computer to make the computer do the job that they want it to do. So software, that is what Infosys creates to help international and Indian companies to do the job that needs to be done. So I hope you'll have all understood the difference between hardware and software. And Pratiksha, I hope that I'm explaining it correctly. And if any point you want to stop me and interject or give some more information, please feel free.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Pratiksha. Next slide, please. Right. So this is what he designed. Software programs to create for multi-location management teams and multi-projects. And this is what it is, a global delivery system. What is the meaning of global? Throughout the world, right? Throughout the world. Now, if you have a company which is spaced throughout the world, as I explained to you, you need a global delivery system so that all the offices through the world can be connected every single minute worldwide. Yes, Jai Prakash, connected worldwide all the time to speak to each other, to get information from each other for every part of their business that they need. All right, now I'll give you a very small example. Supposing we have Air India, which is our national airline, and you know about Air India. Air India has offices, first of all, in so many places in India. It has offices so many places abroad, in London, in New York, in Paris, in Rome. How are they going to connect? They need a software program that connects all these offices so that each one knows what is happening. Right? This is a global delivery system. And this is what Mr. Narayan Murthy conceived of. And this is what gave him the power in Infosys to make it a great success. Thank you. So next slide, please. And here is a slide which shows you the offices of Infosys throughout India, the representation of Infosys throughout India. And please look at Maharashtra. Recently, not only Mumbai, but Pune has also been set up. So, and in fact, they're expanding Pune to deal with the business that they have. So you can see they have a pan-India presence. That means they are all over India. Next slide, please. And here are some of the very interesting Infosys headquarter buildings. We start with Mysore, of course, the birthplace of Mr. Narayan Murthy, and where his heart is, and I'm sure his heart is. And here's this beautiful, magnificent building. Please look at the beautiful architecture. Next slide, please, so that you can see how creative even their buildings are. Intense creativity, all the time thinking out of the box, all the time trying to do something new, something different. And doing that new and different is what has got Infosys to the place where Infosys is today. Next slide, please. Not only has Infosys got a huge presence in India, but here you can see Infosys offices throughout the world. Global footprint, it says in the right-hand corner, America, Asia Pacific, America, sorry, that should read Europe, they've definitely made a mistake, and Middle East and Africa. So here we have all the countries where Infosys has offices. So you can see that it really is giving global delivery systems, right? This is how huge Infosys is today. Next slide, please. So Infosys provides software development programs for companies like manufacturing companies, insurance companies, banks, and many, many other businesses. Today, Infosys employs 2,42,371 people in total and has an annual revenue. What is the meaning of revenue? We did it once before. Income of 90,791 crore rupees per year. Annual means per year. This is their earning of the company per year. And this is the number of people Infosys employs. This also makes it very important, very, very important company for India and for the world. Do you know that Infosys is amongst the top 100 companies of the world, according to Fortune magazine, which is the top leading business magazine? So, what is this? How does the son of a small-time school teacher living in a little town, so 74 years ago, make it to the top 100 companies of the world, make it to the 59th richest man in India? How does it happen? So Mr. Murthy has given lots and lots of interviews and he's spoken a lot to the public. And amongst all the speeches which I heard, he gave a speech on which he said are the top 10 things, the top 10 things which he considers are important in life. And I'm saying important in life, not only in business, but important in life. And here Keisha is going to show us just a very tiny video of about 60 seconds. Please listen carefully. Keisha, whenever you're ready with the video, please listen carefully. And then we're going to discuss. Thank you. He's going to say a sentence, only a sentence on each of his 10 lessons. And then after that, we're going to, here we go.
Every day we have new issues, new problems, new challenges.
I am the first amongst the equals as far as the mentoring process is concerned.
I have learned that courage is the most important attribute of a great leader.
Never ever underestimate your competitors.
Half the people in the country are waiting for a telephone, the other half are waiting for a dial tone.
I think at the end of the day, most of our energy comes from mental energy.
People see us walking the talk.
Luck you need, but be prepared to seize that luck. Let the good news take the stairs and let the bad news take the elevator.
While we take our work very seriously, we don't take ourselves very seriously.
He's an Indian IT industrialist. He's the co-founder of Infosys, a multinational corporation providing business consulting, engineering, and outsourcing services. As of September 2015, he was listed by Forbes magazine as having a net worth of $1.8 billion. He's NR Narayana Murthy, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
Thank you, Keisha. And here are his top 10 rules for success. Success in life, success in business. And you may ask me, why do we need to know his 10 rules for success? Because I don't have a big company. I probably will never have one. So why am I watching this? We are watching this, me included, because I feel that his 10 rules for success are something that we can use in our lives at every step of our lives, no matter if you are a student, no matter if you are working, no matter if you are a child, it doesn't matter. So Keisha, please let's have the first rule. Here we are, be nimble. What do you mean by be nimble? He started by saying every day we have new problems, correct? And that's life. Every day we do have new problems. What is the meaning of being nimble? Being nimble means being able to move quickly. By move quickly, I don't mean physically move quickly, mentally move quickly. Suddenly we had coronavirus and we couldn't do Pehchaan. What to do? We were already upset. But if we sat back at home, we would not have achieved anything. We had to quickly think, what is the next best thing we can do? So we have to change. We have to move. We have to adjust. We have to adapt to meet life every day. New things happen every day, and we need to change ourselves to get on board and to take the new challenges in our stride. That is the first rule of success. Today, all of you all are facing problems because of this illness, which is in our society and all over the world. What are we going to do? We have to change ourselves and find a way. I'm so proud that some of you all on this call and some who cannot attend this call have actually taken up small jobs to assist your family at this time of need. And I cannot tell you how proud I am of you all for doing that. Second slide, please. Start mentoring. That's the second slide. Start mentoring. Mr. Narayan Murthy calls himself the first, not the first money maker, not the first smartest guy, the first mentor. That is so important. And you all know the meaning of a mentor. A mentor is a person who teaches others perhaps at work, but teaches others values, teaches values of honesty, of hard work, of whatever values the mentor stands for. I'm so proud to say that our mentors stand for so many good values, and they try on a weekly basis to give these values to their mentees. And in Mr. Murthy's company, in Infosys, there are mentors and the newcomers are the mentees, and the mentors teach the mentees the values of the company and the values for which Infosys stands. Third slide, please. Be courageous. Remember, Mr. Murthy failed. He failed miserably and he was so upset at his failure. He had no money, but he had this idea. Be courageous. He left his job for the second time because he had this big dream. He went against the advice of others. What will everybody tell you? No, 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 Mr. Murthy, you better stay with your job. Forget about this big idea that you have. It may not work, you may fail again. But he says we should have the courage. We should have the courage to dream big. We should have the courage to go out in the world and do what it takes to achieve that dream. Next slide, please. Respect your competitors. What do you mean by this? Oh, we are very happy. We've come from an English medium school. We have our 85%. We don't have to worry about others. But Mr. Murthy says, no. Listen to your competitors. Learn from your competitors. Study them. What are they doing that is making them successes, or what are they doing which is making them failures, and learn from their successes and learn not to do the wrong things which they are doing which are making them fail. You all know the story of the rabbit and the hare, right? Kachwa ani sasa. You all know that story of how the rabbit and the hare were competing in a race. And the hare thought, oh, I'm so fast, I'm of course going to win the race. He did not respect his competitors. And we all know what happened to him. Next one, please. Stick with your ideas. Stick with your ideas. You have an original idea, stick with it. You know, when Mr. Narayan Murthy started Infosys, at that time, computers were not made in India. And at that time, you had to import your computer from another country. And that time, government was not allowing import. So for 3 years, he had to wait to get a computer. Imagine he wants to run an IT company and he doesn't have a computer, okay? but he's still stuck with his idea. No, I'm going to do this. At that time, you couldn't get a telephone. I know you all will think that's very funny because I lived in that time. You had to wait 6 months to a year to get a telephone, and he had to also wait. But did he give up? No, he had an idea and he stuck to it. Number 6, next slide, please. Be in a great state of mind. What do you mean? Personally, your own mind should always be in what he calls a great state. You should be happy. You should be joyful. You should be enthusiastic. You should have hope. You should have confidence that things are going to be good for you, that you are going to have a great life. He says, mental energy gives us physical energy, right? At the age of 74, he's still minding his company. He's still looking after all these great charities. How? Because he says mental energy, when you're in the right frame of mind, you will get the physical energy to do what you want to do. Number 7, talk. What do you mean by walk the talk? It means you speak, but you must do what you speak. If I lecture you on honesty, and then if I do something which is dishonest, it's not going to work, right? I must do what I speak, walk the talk, lead by example. Mr. Murthy believes in certain values. He believes, and therefore his mentees look up to him because he lives by those values. The people in his company look up to him because he lives by the values. When you are a mentor, you need to have those values in your life so that your mentees automatically learn those values. Number 8, please. Be prepared to seize the luck. Yes, we need luck in our lives, Mr. Murthy says, but sometimes luck comes your way, but you're not ready to take it. Why? Because you have not prepared yourself. Prepare yourself, students, by studying hard, by learning your English language well so you can speak well, by learning all other skills. Now, today we are sitting at home, we don't know what to do with ourselves, but there's so many things available online. Prepare yourself, expand your knowledge so that when that luck comes your way, you can grab it. Today you're sitting at home, our sports people who are with us in Pehchaan, but tomorrow the virus will be over and matches will be arranged. And if you have just been lazy for these 6 months and your physical fitness has fallen, are you going to be able to compete in that match and do well? Are you going to be able to remain the captain of your team if you have allowed your physical fitness to fall? No, no excuses. Be prepared today. So when luck comes your way tomorrow, you are ready to take it. Number 9, be trustworthy. Be honest. And honesty is a value that Mr. Murthy really regards as very, very high on his list. He has made this statement, and I quote, India cannot grow well without honesty. India cannot grow well without honesty. And Gandhiji also believed in the truth, satya, honesty. And when some people asked Mr. Murthy, but how will honesty make your company grow great? How will honesty give you big profits? Do you know what he said? Yes, immediately, perhaps it does not give me great profits. When people come to trust me and to trust my company, and when they realize that we stand for honesty, profits will automatically come to us. When you have a reputation for being an honest person, for being a trustworthy person, you will always be rewarded, even in money terms, because people will come to you with their business. Number 10, don't take yourself too seriously. What does he mean by that? He means take your work seriously, do hard work, take your ideas seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Don't think that you are such a great person that My company can't do without me. My family can't do without me. My friends can't do without me. He has achieved so much, but still he says he doesn't take himself too seriously. You have to remain humble. The quality of humility, something that you must take. And I want to show you a picture to show you, please Kisha, next slide, to show you how humble Mr. Murthy is today at this age after achieving everything that he has achieved. Can you see, he is a person who is touching the feet of another person. Can anybody recognize the person whose feet he's touching? Can you recognize that man? And his name is written at the... Yes,
Ratan Tata.
Ratan. Ratan
Ratan
Tata,
Tata.
the head of the Tata Group of companies. Everyone knows about the Tata Group of companies, right? You know about it. So Ratan Tata is the person who heads the Tata Group. And imagine Mr. Murthy is touching his feet because Ratan Tata is older. He is also a great businessman and he has very good values and ethics. He's well known for that. And Mr. Murthy is touching his feet after all the things he has achieved. Please look at his humility. Please look at his character. Learn from him and his 10 lessons. I learned a lot when I read his 10 lessons. Please think about them later and learn whatever it is you think you can learn from it. And at this point, I'm going to turn over to Kisha. Kisha Didi is going to talk to you about a very interesting part of Mr. Murthy's life, a very essential part of Mr. Murthy's life. Please hear her.
Thank you. I'm very excited to speak about this part because I find this very close to me. Okay, so I'm going to put up a picture. And can anyone tell me who this is? Who this person is? Does anyone know who she is? Anybody? And if you don't know, that's great. That's why I'm here to tell you about her. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Remember, ma'am was telling us someone helped Narayan Murthy set up Infosys. Yes, Anjali.
Yes, Narayan Murthy's wife.
Yes, yes. It is Narayan Murthy's wife. Her name is Sudha Murthy. Okay, and I consider her a personal idol. That's why I'm very excited to speak about her right now. Okay, so before I continue, I'll give you a little background about her. She was born on 19th August in 1950, and she was born in a small town in Karnataka called Shigaon. Yes, and her father was a doctor. His name was Dr. R.H. Kulkarni. He was a surgeon, and she had 3 siblings. So totally there were 4 of them. And her mother used to look after these 4 siblings. So Vimla Kulkarni, her mother, used to look after all of them. But she was always very, very supportive of all the things that her children wanted to do and achieve. Both the parents, they had a middle class family. It wasn't like they were very rich. Even though he was a doctor, it wasn't like they were very rich, but they were a simple middle class family. But one thing stayed constant in their house, which was education and how important education is for them, right? Today, even her siblings are very, very accomplished. Now, am I speaking to you about her because her husband is one of the richest people in India? Am I speaking to you because she helped set up this big company? Is that why I'm speaking to you about her? You can shake your head. Yes, no, no. I can see some people saying no to me. No, that's not why I'm speaking to you about her, because there's so much that she has done as an individual. And that's what makes her so great. And that's why I love her so much. I have never met her, but I feel like I know her really well. Anyway, so she actually has done a lot right from her childhood. When she was very young, she used to read the newspaper and magazines for her grandmother. Okay. And one weekend, she had gone to a wedding. Some cousin of hers was getting married, so she had gone to another village. When she came back, she found her grandmother in tears. The grandmother was very old, so she couldn't travel with them for the wedding. Okay, so she was in tears. And I think at that time she was about 11 or 12 years old. And she came back and she goes, "What happened? Why are you crying?" What had happened was every weekend, a new part of that story used to come in the magazine, of a story that they used to read together. And because Sudha wasn't home and her grandmother couldn't read one word, she missed out on the story and she felt so helpless that I don't understand anything. And she felt so like, she really wanted to do something, but she felt like, okay, I can't do it on my own. And that day, her grandmother, in tears, tells the granddaughter, "Please teach me how to read." And that began this journey, how she taught her grandmother how to read. Even though her grandmother was so old, she started learning, speaking, and writing at that time. She didn't start learning English, she started learning Kannada at that time because she didn't know how to read even that. Right? So that's what she did when she was a very young girl. Right from the beginning, I told you she loved this whole atmosphere of education. When she did her bachelor's and master's degree, she topped. Okay, she did her bachelor's in electrical engineering from BVB College in Hubli, which is another small town in Karnataka. She received a gold medal for her exceptional academic performance, okay, in her bachelor's. And that's not all. She went on to do her master's in computer science from the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, where she received a gold medal for standing first in her final exams. She topped her final exams. Now, she is one of the first women engineers of India, first women to actually complete their education in engineering in India, which means her class had only boys. And she had a very hard time right from getting admission. The boys would trouble her, bully her. They would spill ink on her seat. They would throw, paper planes. They would throw those paper planes at her and really, really trouble her. And she knew that if she missed one class, nobody would help her because nobody wanted her to succeed at that time. Right? So, but she knew that she was going to do well, and she knew that in the bigger goal that she had, these small problems did not matter. Right? She knew that they didn't matter at all. And she was one of those students, before the results came, everybody knew what her result would be. That's exactly what she was. Everybody knew that Sudha's going to top. She's going to top. She's going to do really well. And, so she used to believe, if someone throws a stone at you, you take those stones and you build your own building. You don't sit there upset about it. She believes that it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how well off you are, how much money you have. It doesn't matter if you have this contact or that contact, or this person or not. If you have perseverance, that means you have commitment, constant commitment, and you have determination, and you have your courage. Only those people will succeed. And she believed that with all her heart, right? And you'll see that through her life, that this is what she did. Okay, so now this next part is a very interesting part about her life. Okay, now this company has something very special to do with her life. She was planning to go abroad after she finished her studies in the Indian Institute of Science. She was planning to go abroad to study further, to work there, because she wasn't sure if she will get a job in India. Remember, I told you she's one of the first women engineers. So she wasn't sure, maybe I'll get hired, maybe I won't. When she came across this notice on the college notice board, okay, and it was by this company called Telco. Okay, Telco is the Tata Engineering and Locomotive Company. Locomotive is about vehicles, okay, like trains and cars and things like that. Okay, today we know Telco as Tata Motors. Can you see? Tata Motors. Right. So that is how we so she saw this and she got very excited because, the Tata is such a big industry. And she was reading, that they had this place about, she had a little vacancy in this company for an engineer. So she got very excited. She's like, okay, I'm going to apply. But at the bottom, there was a line that said, lady candidates need not apply. What does that mean? That means any student who is female, who is a girl, does not need to apply because we are not giving the job to any girls. Okay? So that's what it said. And that got her very angry. Just imagine you studied so hard, now such a big company, and you feel like you're qualified to get into it, and then you can't get into it, right? So she wrote a postcard to none other than JRD Tata. You remember we studied about him when we did our Parsi session, we learned about him. He was the one who started the Tata Industries in India, right? Now, Tata was also responsible for establishing the college that she was studying in, the Indian Institute of Science, right? So she started writing this letter that, because of this, I thought y'all were this big company, y'all are pioneers, y'all are the first to do so many things. I didn't expect y'all to discriminate and do bhedbhav on the basis of gender, right? And she wrote this letter. And the most surprising thing happened. Even she didn't expect this. Within 10 days, JRD Tata himself replied to her postcard saying, okay, I will give you an interview. And she got the interview. And of course, she got the job because she was so good at what she did. So good. And then she spent the rest of her time changing the employment systems and so many changes in that particular company. She's largely responsible for their success at that time because she used to do so much and she was so qualified, right? So she wasn't just a good student, she was also a great employee. Later on, she met Narayan Murthy, right? And they got married. And it was a very simple wedding. Very, very simple wedding. Their total wedding cost was 800 rupees. 800 rupees. They got married in 1978. So, of course, 800 rupees was much more than what it means today. But total cost was 800 rupees. And both the families, girls' side, boys' side, spent 400 rupees equally. It was equally split, right? So have you heard, imagine in those times, so many years ago, they believed in gender equality. Now, it's that there are two sides of the same coin. That means they have lots of similar values. They have lots of similarities. They have a lot of values. They have a lot of integrity. They both believed in education. They were both very qualified. They both had this concept of simple living, high thinking. That means you don't have to do all this shosha. You don't have to show off. You just have to think and have big ideas and make those big ideas come true. But they were different personalities. Narayan Murthy was shy. He was an introvert. Whereas Sudha Murthy was bold. She was an extrovert. She was very ambitious, right? She used to speak. But they both had very common values, right? So they got married. They have two children together called Rohan and Akshita, who are also very successful in their respective fields. And now we come to the part about how she helped him set up. When she got married, her mother told her, you should save the money that you get, that you earn or your husband earns, for something called a rainy day. A rainy day means for a difficult day, for a difficult time, for if something goes wrong, you should have some security money. And when she was young, she didn't understand. What does that mean? Why do I need to save money? What will happen? We are young. We don't need anything. We'll be okay. Okay, so she didn't understand it, but she still did it. Now my mother is saying, so I'll do it. So she kept that money away. And it is that same money, that same 10,000 rupees that she could give Narayan Murthy when he came up with the idea of Infosys. Now, both of them were equally qualified. We've learned both of them were equally qualified. They had the same drive. They both were great employees. They had great vision. But how come only one of them became the CEO and chairman of Infosys, and one didn't. Because they had another company, a very important investment called their family, their children, right? So they knew that if both of them went out to work, the children would suffer, right? The children would suffer. So she allowed him. She took the decision that, okay, I will stay at home. No one forced her. No one said that because you are the woman, you will stay home. She decided that I will stay home with the children because the children need me and you can go out. And she allowed him for 3 years to go and do whatever is required without any other thoughts and duties that he had to fulfill at home. Go and do whatever you need to set up this company. And had she not done that, today we wouldn't have this big company called Infosys, right? So that's how she set up this entire thing. Now, once her children grew a little older, she also loved teaching. So she started teaching computer science. And she was visiting faculty at the Bangalore University, at Christ College, and she had lots of students. And those students work with her even today. Okay. Now, a very important part, just imagine there's this big company, you have given your heart and soul, you've given the money also to set it up, right? You've given the money to set it up and you have done so much mehnat. Like, listen, you had your drive, you are considered the mother of Infosys, but technically she did not have any role, right? She didn't have any role in the company. She had no place, no title. She wasn't CEO, chairperson on the board, nothing. So she always felt out of place until she decided to do something else with her life, right? She knew that there was a higher calling to what she had to do. So she came up with the idea for the Infosys Foundation. Now, the Infosys Foundation is different from Infosys Limited, which is the company. The foundation is based to help people. You know what her mission was? And tell me if this sounds familiar to anybody. Mentors can also answer this. She wanted to support a different side of society that did not have the same fortune as everyone else, the same privilege as everyone else. She wanted to create opportunities for everybody. And she wanted to live in a society that was equal, an equitable society. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Anybody? These ideas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Does sound like Pehchaan, doesn't it? That's exactly what it is like. So this is what she did. She set it up in 1996. She set up the Infosys Foundation. And I'll show you. You can see their logo is also a helping hand to everybody. Okay. And there's a concept called corporate social responsibility, right? CSR, right? Now, what does CSR mean? When there are these big companies and they make so much money and so much profit, by law they are required to put some of that money to help society, either to set, like in any way, many different ways, right? She can, you can set up toilets, you can set up schools, you can set up different types of healthcare, hospitals. So every company is required to do this. And it's called corporate social responsibility. Corporate means it's related to a company. Social means it's related to society. It's for society. And responsibility, as we all know, it is our duty. It is our responsibility that if we're making so much money from the society, it is necessary for us to give back. And the lady who redefined this was Sudha Murthy. Right? She redefined the concept, and the Infosys Foundation looks after the CSR aspect for Infosys Limited, right? She is the chairperson of this foundation. Now, in this foundation, there are many things that they do. They have different areas of focus. one of their main areas of focus is education, rural development. Rural development means development of villages, the remote areas, not the cities, not big cities, the small villages and towns in India that get neglected or are hidden somewhere. Rural development, healthcare, preservation of art and culture in our country, because it's very important. And also to help many people with those sections of society who don't get help from anybody, right? So she had this vision to help everyone. So in healthcare, she had an idea that she wants a blind free India. That means everyone should have vision, no one should lose their eyesight for any reason. And that's something that they are actively working towards. To give care and comfort in all types of hospital care, because sometimes there aren't enough hospitals in certain places. To give something called psychological and neurological help, right? And to provide mental health to students, to people in the villages who don't have access to these things. Some of them don't even know what it is. In education, she wants to set up schools in multiple states, in different small villages, so no child has to go without education, right? And they have something called the mentoring of scientists and mathematicians. So those students who want to become scientists, mathematicians, they have mentors for them. They also want to boost engineering students, give them support, give them opportunities, make sure that there is no hunger in classrooms, right? So to give every student a meal so that they can study properly. In art and culture, they try to preserve all our national monuments, to preserve those places, to make sure that whatever was there in the past, what we have seen is also preserved for future generations, right? And to all these, small art forms, like some small dances from small areas in small states, or some type of arts and craft and handicrafts, she tries to preserve those things through this foundation, right? And these are just a few of the initiatives of this foundation. And like we saw, Infosys Limited is not just in India, it's also abroad. Similarly, Infosys Foundation is also working on a worldwide level, and they're trying to do more work, not just in India, but all over the world, right? So this is something that was very interesting about the foundation that she set up. And Sudha Murthy is such a simple person. She had no need for recognition. She did not want to be the face of the foundation. She only wanted good work to happen. She just wanted that. She actually doesn't want any sort of reward for what she does or award for what she does. She just wants to do good work. And that's something that's why she is one of my personal role models, right? Because she is so away from these things, away from recognition, away from anything, because her only focus is good work and helping people, right? Now, even though she believes that, she has still won so many awards, even though she never worked. So you can see her gold medals are also here. Her gold medal, she's won for different types of things, so many different types of things. And it doesn't end here. There's another slide with more that she has done, right? She has done so much, and she has won so many different awards. She's won awards for her social work, for writing, for being an influential personality, for education. And she has also won from a different foundation. So this is here, she's receiving one of the awards from another foundation for all the great work that she has done. And she has won one of the greatest civilian honors in our country. She has won the Padma Shri. She has been given the Padma Shri. And this picture is special. Does anybody know? The name is there, but you know who this person is, right? Former President of India. Yes. Yes, APJ Abdul Kalam. And why this is special is because he was one of her role models. She used to go to attend his lectures and learn more about him, learn from him. So just imagine if your role model is giving you an award for doing so much great work. And not only was he her role model, but they also became friends because of the great work that she did. And that is why you can see both of them look very happy in this photograph, because they know each other very well. Right? So this was just some other information about. Now, how do I know so much about Sudha Murthy? Yes, there's information on the internet. I've watched her interviews, but how did I come across her? Okay. I came across her because of these. Can you see? Does this look familiar? How I taught my grandmother to read? Does this story sound familiar now? And can you see who has written the book? These are all book covers, book titles, right? So when I was in school, my grandmother had given me one of her books, this exact book, to read. And since then, I haven't been able to stop reading her books, right? So these are just some of the books I have read. If you can see on the screen, I'm just showing you my books that I've read by her, right? And she is an author. Not like all the things I just discussed were enough. She's also an author. She has written books in Marathi, in Kannada, and then she started writing in English. And they've been translated into multiple languages. She writes for all age groups. She writes all types of books. She writes for women, for children. She writes technical books for engineering. She's received many awards for these. She's written over 30 books. She has 200 titles to her name. And she has also written her nonfiction about real life. She's written a novel. She's written about her travels, because she loves to tell stories. And most of the stories that I told you about her today are not something I've read online, but something I've read about her in one of these books, right? Now, her English is not very good. She's a very simple looking woman. Have you seen all the pictures of her? She's in a simple sari. She's not in this big suit and this and that. She's a very simple lady. She lives like that. She believes to live like that. And she isn't overly confident about her English. Okay, if we have time, I'll show you a video. But when she speaks, she knows what she has to say, and what story she has to tell you is so much more important than if her English is correct or wrong, right? She knows that. She doesn't care if her accent is right or wrong. She knows that what she has to say is so much more important than anything else. And one of the quotes that I have, and I've read most of her books. I can't say I've read all, but I've read most of her books. Okay. And one of these quotes that she has said is that life is an exam where the syllabus is unknown, the question papers are not set, and there are no model answer papers, which basically means you will be tested in your life. And there's no right or wrong. It's just the best that you can do that is what is important. So here is this lady who, as we have seen her story, she was a great daughter. She is a great daughter. She's a great granddaughter, sister, wife, mother, friend, teacher, writer. She was also in a Marathi movie. So she tried acting also. She did do one. Actor, social worker, entrepreneur, I'm running out of fingers, engineer, and role model. And that's just this one lady, and she hasn't stopped since. And that's something that is so inspiring about her. She writes books for anybody to read, for anybody to learn from. There is no high funda English. It's because she wants you to learn and understand and take those lessons forward, not to give you a book where you can't understand half the words that are said. So that is the story of Sudha Murthy, who is the wife of Narayan Murthy, and together they are this power couple who allow each other to prosper, right? So that is what I wanted to share with you today. I don't think we have time for the video, but I can send you
Yeah.
all
Keisha,
the Yeah.
Keisha, if I may say that if anyone needs to leave for any reason, perhaps you could leave. It's fine because the session is ended. If anyone wants to stay on and watch the videos, because I would love to watch a couple. So if is anybody free and can stay on, then I can request Keisha to play the videos. Yes, Ayush is happy to stay on. Ajmer is happy to stay on. Thank you. So just for 5 or 10 minutes
Yes.
more. Thank you.
Yes. I'll show you
If
a
we
very short
watch them
video.
together, we can even talk about them perhaps. Thank
Yes.
you. Whichever video is Keisha's favorite, because she has many of them.
I have many that are my favorite. I have many favorite books. But before I tell you about the video, since y'all are staying back, I'll tell you one last story before we go. Because I'm telling you, I reread it last night. It is so interesting. Okay. So the name of this book is The Day She Stopped Drinking Milk. Okay. And like I said, she's into social work, correct? So she wants to set up schools in different states in India, right? So she was in Orissa once. Now she doesn't know how to speak in Oriya, but she was in Orissa and she wanted to set up a school in that state. So, but not in one of the big cities. She wanted to go. There was a small village which was inside a forest. Okay, inside a forest. And she wanted to set up a school in that area. It doesn't even have a pakka road to go there. And this was many years ago. And it started raining very heavily, like it's raining in Bombay since yesterday. It was raining very, very, very heavily. And she got stuck there and she hadn't finished her work. So she didn't want to leave. She's like, I will finish my work. I will set up whatever she needed to set up so that the school could go and, start soon. And it started raining. So she went to a small, like this small hut for shelter, small little hut. Okay. And when, like, it was a kacha hut made of mud and, leaves on top. Very, very similar to what we see in most villages sometimes. And one side was a bedroom / living room. And on one side was a little partition and then there was a kitchen. Okay. And she had a translator with her, but her translator had gone for a walk somewhere. So she was sitting quietly and the mother, there was a baby and the baby was crying. And it was raining and the baby is crying and the mother was trying to make the baby sleep. So the father of the baby, means the person who owns the hut, came up to her and said, will you have tea? Will you have some, what to give? They are also a small family. They didn't know what to do. But have you heard of the phrase, Atiti Devo Bhava? Atiti Devo Bhava. Everybody in India knows this, right?
Yes, I know.
Our guest is our God, right? So she knew that they also believe that. And she said, how much can I say no? He's asking for this, she's asking for this. So finally he said, will you have milk? Because she didn't drink tea. Will you have milk? And she said, okay. Okay, like finally she gave up and said, okay. And when he went inside, he told his wife got very annoyed. And they were talking in Oriya. But she understood because she was very good at Sanskrit. So she didn't understand everything. But because, Sanskrit is the mother of all languages, right? All Indian languages, at least. And she knew that, okay, some terms she understood from it. So she basically understood that the wife is saying, listen, this goat milk is very expensive. If she had asked for tea, I could have put 2-3 spoons of milk and, it would have been okay. If she had asked for fish, I could go to the pond and go fishing, get her a fish. Okay. But now she should also understand that she's come to this poor person's house and she's asking for milk, which is such an expensive drink. And I need the milk for the baby. So she gets very angry, that lady, and she's irritated and she's like, you also don't know, how are you saying these things? You also offer milk and this lady is also taking milk. You know how sometimes we know, everybody has seen someone act like this, right? Sometimes. So the husband is saying, she's such a good lady. She's setting up a school for the children in our village and this is the least we can do. And it's okay, you give her half the milk and we'll boil it and we'll give it to her and, it will be okay. And when she heard this, she felt so bad because she actually didn't even want the milk. Because she was just trying to, because he was insisting, she was like, okay, I'll have the milk. You said, so I'll have the milk. And she was feeling very bad because she's like, I'm taking away this milk from a baby. The baby would need the milk. I'm taking away the milk from this baby. So she was feeling very bad. So when her translator came back, he had gone for a walk somewhere. He came back. So they had given her the milk and she hadn't touched it yet. And she told him, please tell the owner that I can't have milk today because it is Wednesday. I'm fasting. Okay, I'm fasting. I can't drink any milk. So the translator is looking at her. Like, in the morning, so you had milk with your breakfast. Now how suddenly you started fasting in the middle of the day, right? So the translator is very confused, but he tells her, and that man is also very confused. Like, I've heard of Monday ka fast, Tuesday fasting. I've heard of Friday, Saturday. I've never heard of Wednesday fast. So she goes, for Lord Buddha, I fast on Wednesdays, right? And he said okay, and he took that thing away. And from that day onwards, she stopped drinking milk, because if she didn't drink it, then nobody could offer it to her. And when she went for social work, which means that she would go to many other families like that, right? She'd go to many other families like that. And if she didn't drink milk, they couldn't offer her anything. That way she wouldn't put any kind of burden on anybody else ever again. And from that day, she realized the importance of milk, and she stopped drinking even milk. She's so simple, and this is just one of the stories that touched me. So that's why I was going to tell you about it. And now we'll watch a video about her speaking to somebody very special as well. Hang on. Okay.
I have only one complaint with what you said.
Tell me.
You know that Saraswati is also the goddess of dictionaries. What have you got against dictionaries?
No, when I write, actually I realized one thing. In India, people do speak English, but out of 100 people, 10 to 20%, whatever you do, they don't understand English. I come across many people like that. About 10-20% people are extremely good in English with their vocabulary, like you, Ram Guha, and many more people, who are very, very good. I mean, it requires, if I have to read yours, I require a dictionary, because it's so good, beautiful sentences, such a good words. Then I said, okay, Shashi has done fantastic, but that is his strength. But 50-60% of the people in India, they are like us. We speak, colloquial language, we understand English. We'll be able to read. I'm fine here translating English into Kannada, Kannada to English. I'm fine, you are fine here, everything is okay. Okay, that kind of think in Kannada, write in English. Most of us are like that. That's the reason I realized, I used to think people, when I write my book, people buy it because of Narayan Murthy's wife, or is it they buy because let's see what she has written? No, people buy because they can relate to me. Their English is like my English, but I have experience. So that's what made me, I should write in such a way that they should feel comfortable without dictionary. Because when they're reading, cooking, they're reading next to that. They can't go and bring the dictionary. So let them read, continue. That's the only reason.
Do you as a writer feel that in many ways you're a mother of perhaps hundreds of thousands of children whose minds have been in some ways infused with your creative spark, your nurturing ideas?
I don't pretend. That's one thing. And normally I don't lie. Because I don't have a great memory power to remember what I lied last time, okay? Best is tell truth, and truth is alone. It is all alone, but it's powerful. So I always do that. In year 2001, India's parliament was attacked by terrorists. 13 people died. That time Rohan was in Cornell. And it was his birthday, so I sent him happy birthday, like any other mother will send. May God bless you, all those things. He wrote a reply, which he may not remember. He wrote a single reply. Every mother works for her child, and my mother works for other children, so that we can all live in a democratic India. And that was actually shocking to me to understand that helping other children, my son told me that I work for other children, until that I was not even aware. So I consider it my duty to help those people who are below the poverty line, without any thinking of any award, reward, recognition. No, because I have enough. Even though it is not there, it is ultimately the people actually. I feel that is very important to me, help. Whether they should remember me or not, I don't worry. Whether I really change or not, I do not know, but I make an effort. But I know one thing, one of my article, how I taught my grandmother, was a part of the CBSE syllabus. And people who have read all these kids, whenever I meet in any airport, they say, oh, I have read your that one. And it was very nice. That time I feel nice and I feel pen is mightier than sword. 100 lectures you can give, but a good act is much more powerful than any other lecture.
Did you feel that you were writing because you wanted to write, or did you feel that you were writing because you wanted to impart something, that you wanted to teach something, or you wanted to say something that you felt morally urgent that others should hear?
Actually, initially, when I go on a tour, I will encounter all these experiences, episodes, come back and tell at home. One is I'm a talkative person and extrovert, and my husband is an introvert, he won't listen. Or he will only listen, he won't talk. And that's the reason opposite poles attract each other. And whom I should tell my stories? I tell my sister, Sunanda, where are you? Raise your hand, please. Sunanda. Sunanda is my sister, older sister, she's a doctor. And I will invariably poor one, she has to listen to all my stories. When I come back, it happened A to B to B to C, it will go on. One day she told me, you only tell all these stories, and why can't you make it, write it in a way so that there may be many people like me, they can understand. And I was also a computer science teacher in a college. I taught many years. My student Madhvi, there, raise your hand, Madhvi. Haan. Madhvi beta, she was my student. All my students, I taught computer science fairly well. And after they were my students, 25 years back, they were my students. So I asked Madhvi, 30 years, 29 years, they know. Me used to miss the class, so they know. Okay? No, I used to have a lot of
Miss
problems.
the days, but count the years.
No, they used to attend my class and miss the next mathematics class. So that mathematics teacher used to get upset with me that you purposely do your computer science students not to attend mathematics class and all. Such problems we used to have a lot actually. I asked Madhvi one day, beta, I taught you many things. They have become like my children, I asked Madhvi, I taught you many things. Which one you remember? She says, I don't remember what you taught now, but I remember all your stories. Okay? Every class will have 1 hour. 45 minutes I will teach computer science. Remaining 15 minutes I will tell one story. All these girls remember only stories, but not the computer science.
Well, that's human beings. We all are like that.
So, when Sunanda told me, you go on telling me every day a new story, and why can't you write? First I thought maybe I should share. But when I started writing, it was not for that. I realized, no, it's within me. I'm sure as a writer you understand. It is like, I cannot hold it. As a woman, after 9 months you have to deliver. Okay? Like a writer, I have to write. Otherwise, I cannot keep quiet.
George Bernard Shaw said, I write for the same reason that a cow gives milk. And it's actually very tricky. Inside you, it's got to come out. And if it doesn't come out, you'll really be in pain, like the cow would be if she's not milked.
I realized I started feeling uncomfortable. If I know the episode, I'll come and tell her, the only listener. And then I started feeling uncomfortable within me. No, I should pen it down. And once I started writing it, then, in my case, I will tell you, I don't know what's your case. It comes like a frame to me. It is like a picture, a movie frame. The frame comes to me. I see the character, they talk, what they wear, what they eat, everything I can see. And I just go on describing.
So, if you heard, she doesn't care about how correctly she speaks her English, what she sounds like, but she just wants to tell her story. Have you seen how much excitement she has just to say what she has to say? Right? So that's something, like even in her books, she'll write in such simple words, and so simply that you won't feel like, oh my God, like I need a dictionary to read what she has written. So that's something that I find very inspiring about her. So,
one point before we stop. Thank you so much. This has been just really super. And one of the things she said, where I want to say, a single act is more powerful than 100 lectures. And when we talked about Narayan Murthy, and he said, walk the talk, be honest, be a mentor, have your values, share your values with others, is the same thing she is saying. So see how alike the husband and wife really are in what they think that their value system. She's also saying, I can give you 100 lectures here, but if I go and do the opposite thing, it's of no use, right? Just wanted to highlight that. Thank you, Keisha. Continue.
Yeah, just that's all I wanted to say. You can't tell that one. Could you, when you look at her, could you tell that her husband is one of the richest people in India? Does it look like that? Does she speak like that? Does she behave like that? Can you tell how accomplished she is, the number of awards she has won? Can you tell all these things when you look at her? I don't think so. I mean, if you look at her and you see the number of awards, that she's an author of so many books, she has done so many things. Does it come across like that? Does she come across like that at all?
It's the 10th lesson, Keisha. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yes.
No matter how much you achieve,
yes,
just one more person. Be humble.
Yes. So they are one team. That's why we decided to do both of them together. And both of them are equally influential and motivational people. Like, they're inspirational people to us. There's so much we can learn from them. And that's why we decided to do both of them together, even though it isn't like one is greater than the other, because both of them have done such great things in their life. Yes. So that's what we wanted to talk to you about today. Hope you enjoyed this particular lesson. And we'll cover more people like this from India, from outside India, because when we read the newspapers, many of you will see these names come up and these company names come up. And then now you will be able to realize, okay, this is this person and this is that person. So that is why we took up this particular series of talking about these important people. Yes, we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Ma'am, do you want to add anything else?
Thank you very much, everybody. So lovely to see you all. Thank you. Of course, the live will be up. If anyone needs to re-look at any time, or just because you enjoyed some part of it and you want to re-look at it, please do. Thank you everyone for being here.
I will send you her full interview also. This was just
lovely. Yes.
Send you the full one. That was for 56 minutes, so we couldn't watch all of it. So we watched a little bit from it. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Didi. Thank you, Rajna ma'am.
Great job. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you
Thank
all
you.
on